Hi, I'm Bob Hasegawa, your newly elected state senator for the 11th Legislative District, and this is the first of many videos we'll be producing throughout the legislative session, which just started earlier this week. And I wanted to give you some of my impressions about this first week, but first I wanted to really thank and congratulate my predecessor, Margarita Prentice, for the many years of service that she's given, not just to the 11th District, but to our entire state. So that being said, the Senate has been a much different experience for me personally than the House of Representatives has been. You know, I was your four-term representative for the 11th District, and moving over to the Senate has certainly been a change, not the least of which is this office that you can probably see in the background, and which the photographer will clip in a little bit of. But the office consists of my main office, which I'm standing in right now. My legislative aide actually has her own office out there, and the nice thing about being a senator is I get a second legislative aide who is the receptionist sitting out front. Janine Roa, and Chio Saturn is my legislative assistant. So please come down and visit me sometime during legislative session. I look forward to hearing your input on the different bills that we'll be considering this year. As far as the Senate organization goes, you've probably known that the Senate Republicans took over power this past week through a rule change that happened on the Senate floor on Monday. I'm a little bit disturbed about how all that came about, because the rules that they changed have been in effect for over 100 years, literally. And that is proven over time to be an effective way for the Senate to operate. So by changing these rules for political expediency, there's really no way to foresee collateral impacts that it may have, not just during this session, but down the road to future legislatures, because you know, when you start tinkering with rules that have been around for so long and have proven to work, and then somebody comes in and tries to change the rules for their personal political benefit, I don't think that that's good for the people of the state of Washington in the long run. So the jury will stay out on how this all plays out. But at this point in time, I've seen some of the immediate effects of those rule changes and the change in the leadership structure, moving over to, from my Democratic Party, moving from a majority position into a minority position. Because these changes happened so recently that the Senate as an organization has suffered, because we weren't able to prepare for a session like we would normally have done on under the regular rules. So for instance, I didn't even find out that I was on a couple of my committees until the day before session started. I did not get an office assignment until 3 days before the session started. So it's pretty difficult to really hit the ground running when everything is in flux. And so this past week, we've been doing our best to try and get organized as a Senate. We'll be up for business full speed next week. But this first week has been a week of adjusting to the new rules and adjusting to the new styles of leadership. So this session, my key priorities will be, you know, I've been working on this issue to create a state publicly owned Bank of Washington. And real quickly, what that is all about is right now when the state collects your tax dollars, we have to put it someplace into a bank account. Well, our bank account happens to be at the Bank of America. So the concept is, why should we allow Bank of America to use our tax dollars to make a profit for themselves and export that, and we never see the benefit of it? Why don't we instead create our own publicly owned bank owned by the taxpayers of the state of Washington? We'll make money for ourselves, and then the bonus is we still control that money, so we can reinvest it back into our communities for economic development purposes, building roads, schools, public infrastructure, water sewer districts. So I'm going to be working on that bill, trying to get that passed through the legislature this session. Again, this will be the 4th year I'm trying it, but you know, good ideas take time to catch sometimes. Another one of the issues that you elected me on was on tax reform. most people feel that our current tax system is so unfair. You know, corporations get their huge corporate tax breaks, the uber wealthy get their corporate tax breaks, and all of that tax burden is then shifted from those people who can best afford it onto those of us who can least afford it. So my goal is to create some of that fairness back into the system and reshift the burden onto the type of philosophy that our grandparents taught us how to build America, which is those who get the most out of the system are morally and socially obligated to put the most back into the system. And that's how we build the system for all of us, and to make sure that there's something for our grandchildren that's better than what we were handed ourselves. So real quickly, those are a couple of my key issues. I'm also working on higher ed issues. Unfortunately, I was not put on the higher ed committee in the Senate because I just didn't have the whiskers to get on it this year. But that doesn't mean that I can't work on those issues still. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.